why don't we jump to something that you already talked about, but I wanted to kind of give some thoughts on The King. Uh, uh, Netflix, Timothy Chalamet, man. Um, so yeah, The King, interesting film. We were very hyped for it, To Timothy Chalamet, we ride for him, we stand for him a bit. Robert Pattinson, Joel Edgerton, we stand for all these guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then The King comes, and you know how I feel about um, this period of time for movies. Not a big knights, not a big medieval times
Right.
guy over here.
Outlaw King. You were
I enjoy.
lukewarm on.
Yeah, I'm very very lukewarm on. Although shout out to Chris Pine winning the Chris Wars, probably. Anyways, I was impressed by The King, and from a technical standpoint, I thought it looked really good. I thought Chalamet did a pretty good job, just kind of playing this very like brooding, like young 20s person thrust into a situation he reviled. But I've never seen a movie with so many talented people simultaneously give them too much time and not enough time, if that makes sense. Like Joel Edgerton, I feel like embodies that perfectly, where he's on screen, and when he gets to have dialogue and gets to interact with Henry, I think he's great. But a lot of time he's just there and just like, yep, Joel Edgerton looking like Lil Jon over here. And then the scene ends, and I'm just like, all right, what's the point of that? Robert Pattinson shows up for maybe like what 5 scenes,
if that. Yeah.
Every time he talks, he's electric, but we can't get more of him on screen.
Big balls with your little pee-pee. Best part of the movie.
I mean, by far the best part of the movie. That, and when he finally rides down and wants to fight him and slides in the mud. But man, I don't know. It was a bit of a disappointment, only because I think our expectations for this going in were really high, and just overall an inconsistent film. And especially from the beginning, you're just kind of like, all right, this dude's brooding. He's not very happy, and obviously doesn't want to be in the situation. But it feels like it never resolves. Like he just basically is like, just never lie to me by the end. Like I'm gonna figure this out. So it's a detective film in a way by the end. So I don't know. Also, I was a little disappointed that Sean Harris. I literally had the thought in my head. I wrote down my notes like, man, I'm glad this guy finally wasn't the bad guy. But nope, in the end, fucking bad guy. Did you know that was coming?
No, I'm not familiar with the Henry ad, the trio of Shakespeare plays this is based off of. So yeah, I didn't know about this character, but yeah, I thought the same thing, because Sean Harris obviously really effective as a villain in the last 2 Mission Impossible movies, among other things. And then have him be, I was like, oh, he's an ally, interesting, showing off the talent. And then he's like, no, he's the master manipulator all along. Classic.
It's so disappointing. I mean, you have just these 6 actors. I mean, Chalamet, but Joel Edgerton, Robert Pattinson, Lily Rose Depp, Ben Mendelsohn, Sean Harrison, Thomasin McKenzie. How many of them would you say were used to their full potential in this movie?
I mean, in a sense, you could say none. I thought Chalamet acquitted himself pretty well.
Yeah.
Not my favorite role of his. I think that's partially due to the way the character was written for this, though.
Yep. I agree.
Generally, not that having the best time, and even when he has a moment where he tries to save Tommen from death on the field, it somehow didn't come across as that noble, I think, as it was supposed to mean. That's just the way it was written. But I like Timmy, and I think the battle speech scene, and when he starts to lose it a little bit once he's in power, he's making the most of what he can. And Pattinson, again, we want way more scenes, but really, kind of leaps off the page due to the showiness of the Dauphine, the way that was written. But yeah, Mendelsohn doing his thing, chewing scenery. Lovely. I would want to listen to him just talk forever, but obviously he's gone real fast. And Thomasin McKenzie is just a throwaway, right, as the sister. Lily Rose Depp, I thought was in the movie way more given the promo. Didn't know she comes in literally for like the epilogue, you know?
Right.
I like the guy who played Henry Hotspur, but he dies in like 10 minutes. So yeah, it's like I said in the non-spoiler review, which you can check out on youtube.com/nostalgiapod. I think just structurally the movie should have been just reworked. Like before you know it, we're in France in the 100 Years' War, if you know the history. But why exactly? Why did Chalamet decide like he felt slighted and he got manipulated, even though it seemed like he had more peaceful intentions in mind? Just a bit of a miss, I think, from the way the movie was made, which is disappointing given all the talent, as we've said.
Yeah. One thing about Mendelsohn, right? Just a amazing actor who has played a great villain most of the time, except for in Captain Marvel, really.
Mm-hmm.
But he does so much with his non-dialogue, just his non-verbals on screen, and I feel like he's basically shaded, and like it's just dark the entire movie.
Yes,
which I get. The period is great, but like I was like, is this Ben Mendelsohn in the first scene? Because I was like, it sounds like him. He's got the little lisp, but like I can't even tell. It's so fucking dark.
Yeah, one thing I wrote in my notes, I haven't verified this, but I was wondering if they just shot this with a lot of natural light. Like a lot of the stuff inside the castle, it just looked dark, like it was mainly lit by the torches you're seeing. And I just doubt that's actually the case, but it came across that way. Yeah. Also, I given that a lot of the promo involved Henry fighting or at war, I thought there was going to be more action. Like I just reflect again on Outlaw King, which I find as a very interesting analog to this, because these are both movies that at premiere festivals had mixed receptions. They both culminate in a final battle that involves winning the upper hand against a superior force using a muddy field, like really specifically similar. Yet I thought Outlaw King was just way more thrilling as a film. And I definitely like that one more. But what do you think of the Battle of Agincourt? Like very, very Battle of the Bastards, half brother esque. You know, it's like the bastard of the Battle of the Bastards in a certain sense.
I thought that was really well done. And something about those scenes, especially like the claustrophobia of like the way it was shot and just being like in the middle of the battle, I thought was really, really cool. Yeah, and I thought Chalamet, the fight choreography was fantastic. You know, he has that little hatchet he's going around with. Right. And also, I think he does a really good job of portraying like the agony of like watching like his men get killed while you have to like wait until, you know, everybody's in there, so to speak, what his friend told him. I thought that was great. I thought most of the action scenes in this were great. Even like the fight where it's one-on-one combat to, you know, save the people from having to fight. Right. Even though it wasn't maybe like the flashiest fight scene, I thought it was probably one of the most realistic, but still like enthralling. Which I appreciated that.
Yeah, between this and then obviously when the Dauphine meets his end, this does a good job of showing the folly of fighting in full suits of armor. You know, I did appreciate that realism. I was also disappointed in Nicholas Bertel's score. You know, obviously kind of the wonder kid of scores these days, but there's really only like one or two times where I thought the score was noticeable. So that was disappointing. Yeah.
Quick thought or quick question for you. So Chalamet on deck, got Little Women, going to be coming out soon, but really playing a supporting role in that. Wes Anderson film, not named or really
French
much information
Dispatch.
About that.
It's named.
Oh, okay. We have a name. We don't know what his role will be in that. And then Dune on the horizon. Yes. No?
Yeah. And Dune, he's the lead in Dune, yes, with Denny.
Yeah. So, I mean, how are we feeling about him right now? Because this time last year, we would have been like, this dude's, you know, the world is his. And then I think recently we've been like, maybe not.
No, I'm feeling good, man. He's still 23. Yeah. And he's kind of doing the Pattinson game plan. He's just younger. He's working with everybody. Denis Villeneuve, Wes Anderson, Greta Gerwig multiple times, Luca Guadagnino. he's working with tons of talent. Even David Michôd, who made this movie, has made some good films in the past, like The Rover and Animal Kingdom. He continues to make, I think, interesting choices. And while this was probably intended to be more prestige than it ended up being, again, like Outlaw King, the diversity of his roles, I think, continues to stand out. Both supporting stuff where he can kind of like steal scenes, like Lady Bird and we assume Little Women, and then obviously we'll see what happens with Dune. That's I think an inspired thing to attempt to get on a bigger scale, but still making an artistic choice because you're working with fucking Denis Villeneuve of all people. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I feel good. You know, I think again, he's still not a household name in the traditional sense. He's still more internet famous, Stan crazy famous than anything else. But the film heads know who he is, and I think like his talent. And yes, I think Beautiful Boy ended up being a much more mixed reception than we anticipated when we first saw the movie. But I mean, the stock is still really high. So yeah, I'm not really concerned. You know, I mean, again, he has 3 high profile movies coming out in the next 13 months. Yep. So let's wait till the next 13 months before we can really prognosticate anything negative, you know?
Yeah, and I don't think Beautiful Boy was, the lack of reception on it was anything about Chalamet. His role maybe was not the showiest because he's playing a drug addict in and out of treatment and sobriety. But I agree. I'm most excited for the follow up to Tenet, which I'm almost I'll call right now will be a Timothée Chalamet led Christopher Nolan film in the future. So that's what I'm really looking forward to. And that'll be his like projection to fame role, hopefully. But Chalamet, I think continue to buy the stock, and if other people are selling, buy more of it. Because The King still I thought his performance still very good.